Hey, it's What the Flick, Homeland, episode 10, 13 hours in Islamabad of season 4, Jenna, Alonso, Ben. So before we toss to the clip, let me just, I got one thing really right. It was a small throwaway point. No, but remember when I said, are we going to get Carrie with a gun behind a car? like we did get Carrie with a rifle, just for a second though. But it was not what I thought. Like I thought the siege of the embassy was going to be the conclusion of the show.
That's what I thought. Yep.
And all of a sudden, no, man, that's over. They're gone. Yeah. And they're gone with the list. And the list is the big, I think, the interesting hypothetical question. Sure. Because I think it's got an easy answer. But first, let's take a look at the clip.
This is an emergency.
We'll have to go through dispatch.
Peter.
Sir, what happened? I can't reach
We need to call the Marines back.
Why?
Ambushing Saul's convoy may have been a diversion to draw the Marines away from here.
Draw them away?
From the embassy. The ISI know about the tunnel under the economic section.
What?
Which means anybody could know by now. Which means we are essentially defenseless.
Private, give me your comms. How many Marines were deployed to the ambush site?
It's pretty much everyone on the duty roster, except us two and a couple of men posted at the gate.
Marine dispatch, this is Peter Quinn.
Marine dispatch.
Get me the CO who deployed to the ambush site. Ambassador, you need to get to the vault, follow lockdown 2 protocols so you get the all clear. Private.
Sir.
Stay with me.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
All right, so guys, let's get right to that question. because Tracy Letts and Carrie, I love to blend, debated it later when she said to him, to Lockhart, you know, I don't know what I would have done. But that's insane.
Yeah.
I know what Carrie would have done.
Everyone
We all know
knows
what Carrie would
I
have
feel
done.
like she was telling Lockhart what he needed to hear, and she was telling Saul what he needed to hear. Because I think when she's telling Saul, oh, you know, his plan was always to come hit the embassy and da-da-da, I don't know that that's true, or I don't know that she knows that that's
I don't
true.
think so.
I think she was saying that so that Saul would feel better for having been a pawn in all this and not feel like he was responsible for having it happen.
And I kind of think that she was doing the same thing with Max.
She did the, and I don't think she did the same thing with Max, but that's interesting you brought him up because I think she was with both of them, although she was more honest with Saul because his ultimate plan was not to capture Saul because that plan manifested itself late.
Sure.
Right? I think. So she might be right that he had a big fake his death. He didn't fake his death to capture Saul. He faked his death to do something else.
Yeah.
Right, but there are so many moving parts
Sure.
to get from there to getting inside the embassy. You know?
But that makes more sense that you wanted retribution against the infidels who betrayed the apostates. So I think then Max's line, which seemed like actually resonated with Carrie, that she should have done something to say to Farah, well done. Yeah. That so she's like, oh, maybe I should have been nicer. Here's my chance. I'll be nicer to these two guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting to see her like that too. And I love Max's line, you were mean.
You were mean.
You were mean.
That was so jarring because no one ever really talks about
this show's about
emotion.
Life and death and like, fuck you, we gotta do this, but
and
you were mean.
You were so mean. You were so mean to her. And it was, I mean, obviously you knew once he had her that he was gonna kill Farah. You knew, I mean, it was.
I thought Quinn I thought when we got the 40 seconds and then at about 20, Quinn shows up I thought, oh, maybe somehow a shootout here saves her. And I also thought, you know, I mean, I love talking about when I'm right, but I'm mostly wrong. And I thought, oh, he's never given up this. It's too obvious you don't give this up. I mean, Lockhart, he's not trained for this. He's a politician.
No, but I was kind of shocked. I was giving Lockhart the benefit of the doubt that he would not hand over the list, that he would be, if anything, he's been such a prick in general. I didn't think that the fact that those people were all going to die would be enough to make him hand that over.
Well, it was sort of, you sort of saw emotion in people that you normally don't see it in, because he's normally just sort of like I didn't expect him to watch Farah and say like, oh God, I have to do something to save her.
That's interesting because, you know, you're right, Alonso. He's not the kind of guy who would have cared, but he's never had to deal with this close up.
Exactly, but you don't know until it's like force majeure. Until you're in the situation, you don't know how you're going to behave.
Yeah, and here all of a sudden this beautiful young woman is about to get her head cut off in front of you, and you can save her in this moment, or at least you think you can. But of course, you can't.
It's Homeland.
That's where. But also, of course, you can't because you wouldn't have been able to. And so, I don't know whether it's supposed to be considered a major a major discussion point, but there was no decision to make there. You let all those people die, and you stay in that room.
You do not negotiate with terrorists, as they like to say.
Right, and here's an actual nice moment of where there are real tangible costs and benefits, but you can't let them do that. And those people are in the CIA, and it's horrible, and they took a posting in a dangerous place, and that is
Some of
possible.
you'd like to work for the State Department.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well,
I wanted to
That's
see the
right. Some
training
of them
video.
just work for the State Department, but
Again, though, but I think last week I was saying the show is kind of becoming lefty 24.
a little bit.
And that was a little more of that this episode, just because there's those moments where you're like, oh, fucking kill them all, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
when they're like when they're being just picked off by the cars, when your girlfriend is in the car telling, hold the phone.
I know. How do you feel about your girlfriend
don't
now?
make that call yet.
Nimrod Kaur.
Yes.
Oh, be still my terrorist heart. But of course, the guy, Raza Jaffrey or Jeffrey, doesn't, you know, he didn't make the call.
Yep.
True.
And all they needed was the 10 minutes. That's all. So, I mean, it's clear who holds the power in that relationship, even though she never said, don't do it.
Right.
She
Yeah.
just, that was a very well written scene. My favorite moment in this episode, which was, in many ways, despite the death of Farah and all the things that happened, I thought things actually slowed down
Yeah.
in this episode. It was when Quinn and his buddy leave, and the disdain and the taunting from the Pakistani army, like that guy, and I bet that kind of thing happens. Like, these are our allies, they hate us, we don't trust them, and here's this guy, he's supposedly protecting the embassy, and he knows the CIA guy's coming out. He's like, oh, what now? What now, little CIA boy? And then Quinn's like, fuck you too, asshole. And I don't know who's right, but I don't like the guy who's taunting after the death.
Well,
I mean,
no.
you're on
That's
you're on Quinn's side there, but I also why you love Quinn, and Quinn can't not be loved, man. There were so many great moments, but even then, like, he shows restraint. He just says, yeah, fuck you too, asshole, right? And they drive away, but then he had a William Peterson To Live and Die in L.A. moment of just running through the embassy with his gun out, like stepping over dead bodies. Lockhart looks up like, oh, be still, my heart. Who's my hero? Yeah.
I just want to say something about Tasneem, too. And I know I've mentioned this before, but it's really interesting to watch, and I'm just saying this as a woman, to watch a woman be part of something that, should they succeed, would mean that she has to change her entire life. She can't have power. She has to have her head covered all the time. And I'm not making judgments on that, but it's very interesting.
She's being complicit in something where you're not quite sure what she's getting out of the end game.
It's very Handmaid's Tale, really.
Or does she believe what she told Raza? I don't know what his show name is, but the actor, the Earth's,
Smash guy.
They're like the best looking terrorists.
They
of the
are
planet.
very,
They
very
are the
pretty.
United Terrorists of Benetton.
Yeah. But when she says to him, he says, you're out of your mind. What do you think's going to happen? He's killed my soldiers on the border. And what do you think's going to happen when he gets in charge? This isn't what we want. And she's like, oh, no, it'll be fine. We just want the Americans gone.
Yeah.
But because you're right.
And that's what we used to say about Al-Qaeda when they were getting rid of the Soviets for us.
But then it'll be great. So is there any chance that Haqqani is like, oh, great, the Americans are gone. Okay, ruling elites, you're back in charge.
Let's knock down those Buddhas, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think Tasneem is going to face some significantly ugly consequences.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just had to bring that up.
Perhaps I could be there to comfort her.
Let's talk about Duck.
Oh.
Jesus. What a
You had one job.
One job.
You had one job, to commit suicide and to have a little bit of honor, you shit.
Yeah,
And you didn't even do that.
I have it written down here. The belt, right thing to do, and then I wrote below that, Dennis will fuck it up. Like,
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
He won't
Did you think for a second that he was actually going to do it?
I thought maybe this was the one thing he'd be good for, but no.
No, because when she pulls her shirt up to start taking off the belt, you could see it in his face. Oh God, she's really going to do it.
Right.
Like he was trying to call her bluff. It was.
Right.
It's like a
interesting.
weird
Yeah, yeah.
relationship thing where like, please love me, and it's this weird, and then you do, and it's wrong, and it's just this weird push and
Like,
pull.
I'm going to offer this thing that would be good for you, but don't take me up on it.
And then
Yeah.
when she goes to see him in the lead SUV,
Oh, that face!
and he's like, he gives the handcuffed wave. He's like,
Sorry, to see
Still here, yeah.
That is a stink face.
Yeah.
Like, that is one of the best kind of fuck you
Right.
expressions I've ever seen.
from
From his wife.
From Martha. From Martha.
Martha.
Yeah.
She's like, you worthless shit.
I don't know. Anybody seen my husband? Oh, he's in the lead SUV. Oh. I thought, again, things I'm wrong about all the time, I thought when we had her scene of just sitting in her office that she was going to have a moment of, oh my God,
Yeah.
and get up and run down. like
Yeah.
Dennis, like, you know, and then break in and he wouldn't have done it, or he would have, but no, she was a firm believer that was the right thing to do.
The weird thing is, he was right. That really was the one. That was the one thing he had left to give her and their kid. Even I'd say better him dead than, yeah, like you said, like in a supermax prison somewhere. You know?
Does it
Colorado,
make me a weird person that the whole time I was thinking, one, what is he going to hang himself from? Because there's nothing on the ceiling, and
there's
two,
bars,
well,
right?
yeah, I suppose you could, but I was thinking about the logistics of it, and then the fact that she went to open the locker and her fingerprints were on it. Am I still burned from like?
I think you have to. Yes, I mean they would obviously, you know, and the guard could say the only person who went in to see him was his wife, except what he was suggesting is, look, these are people who can make believe a war was like. They would just not.
Yesterday's weather, yeah.
They don't have to investigate it.
Yeah.
He got a hold of a belt, we don't know how, and he killed himself. He got a hold of his own belt, and he killed himself, and that's it. And then nobody investigates it. There's no investigative authority that's going to insist on that. She's going to say, I'm comfortable with my husband's tragic demise, and so it just goes away.
Yeah, I think it's because of the whole like end of Brody thing where of season 2 where he's on the phone. I'm like, they're tapping your phone. Why are they not hearing all the plans that you're making and all the people that you're talking to? Like, you have a cell phone in a safe. Like, come on.
Let's not bring the Brody part.
I know. I'm sorry. I think that's what did it for me,
So
though.
many things. It was such a.
Let's not talk about Brody.
I just think it's a, you know, we for a show to come out of the gate, we've talked about it before, but I mean to be so outstanding, really one of the best seasons of American television ever, season 1 of Homeland, and then to fail in seasons 2 and 3. I mean, moderately interesting, but only because of how great season 1 is. If season 1 had been like seasons 2 and 3, I wouldn't have watched seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't know of a show that I guess people who watch The Walking Dead feel like it went off the rails and found its way back home a little bit. But to find your way again after is really an incredibly impressive storytelling achievement for these guys.
Yeah, I have to say this show has finally gotten back to the point where at the end of each episode, I'm like, no, don't end. No credits.
I watch it with the closed captioning.
Yeah, when the WGBH thing
I
comes
know
on, you're like, oh, no.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh my God, it's a week.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and then we had 2 weeks off here. So
Yes.
This was
not
this was
okay
a really
with that.
tough cliffhanger. So yeah, I mean, there's 2 more left this season. Yeah, this has been a much stronger season. I'll be curious to see how they kind of wrap things up, and obviously leave us hanging for next year because they have renewed the show, so they will be back.
Right, we're back for 5, yeah.
So you know.
Oh, I hope we stay in Pakistan.
I know, I want to too. That was one of the things that when they said they were leaving, I was like, no, don't leave. No, don't leave. No, I don't want to watch her with her baby again.
I was going to say, she goes, oh, she's got to deal with the baby again.
Well, she's going to be. So we know now this season is almost certainly ending with Carrie and Quinn working either together or against each other, but probably mostly together.
Yeah.
Or like there's going to be a moment where she tries to rein him in and he's like, let me show you what I've done and how close I am. And she'll be like, well,
Okay.
all right, that sounds like a plan.
But they'll have to operate without sort of sanction or protection from the government, and then that'll be,
Right, so that adds a new layer of if you're caught, you're done for.
It's more fun that way.
Yeah.
We will
Great
disavow
stuff.
any knowledge of your actions.
Right. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Very exciting. Do we know, is it 13 or 12?
I believe it's 12.
Yeah,
So
there's
2
just
more.
No, I'm not all right with that.